Who are the mentally retarded? They are people. They come in both sexes and in all sizes, shapes, creeds, and colors. Wherever people live, there also live the mentally retarded.
You dumb, lard-ass, lud-tard morons. You still don't get that the answer is the communication of spiritual knowledge and the communication of natural law and objective morality to the mindless, fucktard, zombie horde masses of this fucking planet.
Dude, I don't care. I love that intro. It gets me going. It's that good. What up, everybody? It is Chronicles of the Great Retardation. Harrison, the Arabian pleb here, and with me as always, Cosmic Surfer. It is another Friday afternoon. I think we've both had pretty big days. How you going there, Cosmic Surfer?
Going well, and you, sir?
Very well, brother. Oh, I'm gonna push through. A little tired, back's a little sore. Been on the shovel, but I'm going good, and I'm happy to be here. I'm stoked to be home. You and I have been having a bit of a chat for a little while off air, and that's been good. And then we just both said to ourselves, "What are we doing? Like, we should be recording." And so here we are.
Well, let's go. Let's make the most of it, mate. So, let's go as deep as we can for Friday afternoon. Highly sophisticated chat. So, in my world, I've been studying things like to do with like timelines with history, and to do with things like with Atlantis not being in the Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,000 years ago, and getting into questions around like source material, and that's one of the things that we connected over was source material of people like Whitney Webb, and so that's one of the things that like I could feel like it really grounds in like where you're coming from on and how you talk through like these subjects. I feel like it is in a pretty grounded way, like with people like reading Scott Horton, and I can know that you like listen to those audiobooks like over and over, so you actually like, know the details and know the facts and that kind of thing. And so yeah, like I think that like that's kind of like what's been on my radar a little bit, but then I also know that you know we've kind of talked off air a little bit, and we kind of talked about how a lot of people are getting into the kind of the woo a bit more, like from different angles, even people like Tucker Carlson. So then there's kind of like how people are approaching like these subjects, and I guess kind of the point of it there is like following like being able to, like, I think that like some of these people are like great sources of like getting to, kind of like summarizing the sources of different material, and also like, kind of like opening it up for other people to kind of go and like learn it or read it for themselves or watch it for themselves or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think that like that kind of, yeah, I'm not sure if you got anything to say there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no. Well, like that's what draws my interest is when people can like back up what they say with facts and evidence and stuff like that. And like I don't know, like maybe What?
It's always a bonus if they got some evidence. If
Yeah,
what
for
say.
sure. Hey, like I'm open to, whatever, like anything. I'm open to anything anyone wants to talk about. But yeah, like it's always good when people can prove it. That's quite nice. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like fucking just for all the whatever, like during 2020, the trusty experts sort of people, parroting that constantly. Yeah, it's just like it's great when you've got experts on your side that can totally refute bullshit that people are trying to push on you. But man, yeah, like the dude, like just on the like that what is it? The Archaics. I got to check more of his stuff out. But I'd never really given much thought to Atlantis and anytime I'd like listen to Graham Hancock, or watch his documentary on Netflix, listen to his Joe Rogan appearances. The thing that fascinated me most about his arguments and the narrative that he has is like that all the official archaeologists are wrong, and that he had his own proof as to these civilizations going, much further back than what the like conventional wisdom is, and then the interesting, and maybe we can get into more of like of that. But the interesting thing with Archaics, just listening to him recently, is he's kind of like gone in the opposite or the other direction, where he thinks a lot of this stuff happened in a much shorter timeline than the conventional wisdom. Do I have that right?
Yep. Yep. And so, like with everything, like at least the process that I'm going through with it is like, it's like with anything. You know, you look at a researcher and, you kind of learn the material and the data points, and then you eliminate the things that aren't true and see what you're left with. And that's what all of, people like that would say anyway, is like, read this book, read this book on this page, it says this. Um, in saying that, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the part on cataclysms, like that lines up, and then the part about things happening like in a really rapid way. Um, that part for sure is true. That lines up with other stuff. And then, but then, but then he's also specifically, dating them to like within the last handful of thousands of years or whatever, for like all of those things. And then so, the part that's like more ancient, like that's, you know, um, like I guess like on one hand, it's like you've got to like you've got to. I guess what I'm saying is like I'm open to more information, and to see where the evidence lies. I guess because like I still believe that things are like super ancient, and at the same time I'm also open to these events being from this time period, or like the kind of the evidence or the literature or the material pointing to that period in time. So it's like and then at the same time, it's like you can be right and wrong about different parts of it as well, So yeah, I mean, it's like I guess I'm kind of going in with the lens a little bit of like also a lot of these ancient archaeologists, like I do believe like they are wrong about like all this shit as well, even as much as the mainstream narrative is wrong about stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So
Like, because
yeah,
that's sort of what
yeah,
I took away from listening. And I will admit that I haven't checked out a lot, like really any of Archaic's body of work. The only stuff I've seen is like an hour and a half of his video, like taking down Graham Hancock's, arguments. But the thing that, oh damn it, I lost my train of thought. But here's a question: like, what is the significance of Atlantis? Like, why is it that that's such a contentious debate. Oh, sorry, that was my previous point too. Hang on, just put a pin in that. What is the significance of Atlantis? But my previous point was that like Graham Hancock, like claiming that the conventional narrative, the whatever, like the establishment archaeologists are pushing is bullshit. Like he can be right about that, and also, which I think he is, but then also like wrong maybe in some of his conclusions. But I don't know, like the way that Archaics was like critiquing Graham Hancock, it was like that, like his narrative is the official narrative, and I didn't think that was the case.
No, and those people would probably argue that they're just saying this is what they think and they don't have to be right, but then they also do push it pretty hard, you know? And that's kind of the point.
So what is the significance of Atlantis?
Yeah, so just admittedly, like up front, I'll preface this with like I'm not an Atlantis buff. It's not really something that has like overly appealed to me.
Yeah.
But I will say that, like I guess there's kind of like an occult connection there, and there's people like Edgar Casey, and this is why he named people like dark journalists because like they get a lot of their information from from like that kind of Steiner Edgar Casey kind of direction. But there's always been like those stories around high tech, high advanced civilization, and then there's like levels of like how woo woo it goes from like you know advanced like aqueduct water systems, but then into the woo woo in terms of like high intellect but no spiritual kind of development or whatever, and kind of went into like technological intelligence and technical weaponry and like all of that kind of stuff. But that's kind of like it doesn't have to go that far, but it goes kind of like into all of that. So there's kind of like you know
So the
yeah,
claim is
it's
like
just
that
like
it's an
always.
advanced civilization, and then they're disputing over the timeline of when this occurred.
And and if they were advanced, and in what ways were they advanced or not advanced, and kind of what was like, and then so like, like Jason Giorgiani will say like, like he'll say like Argentina, and then because of like the kind of crustal displacement, it's like now turned into Antarctica, and so like he's another guy that's kind of like an expert in Iran's history, I guess, and then also yeah, so like and then also like studied like Plato's works. So yeah, I guess like he's been a big fan of Plato, whereas Archaics has been more of a fan of Aristotle, I think he said. And so yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just kind of like it's kind of like inside baseball a bit, I guess. But yeah, Archaics reckons like no one will debate him, And so then it's like and then like I do know. So then it's kind of it's a bit like the kind of how David Icke will say like the mainstream alternative media. It's kind of like mainstream alternative history or something, or alternative ancient archaeology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
Um, yeah, because yeah, you do things do get weird for whatever reason when you get into the you can see what's happened at Göbekli Tepe where they like build over it, and there's there's also stuff that happened to like Gadang Padang in Indonesia. It's like, yeah, it's like I don't know, things just get a bit squirrely when at these places.
Yep, yep. No, I don't doubt it. Yeah, no, yeah, it's interesting, but obviously, like, I just don't know enough about it, so I've got to do my own, homework and just check these guys, material out.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and I guess like that's kind of like the point. There is the chronology, right? Like I guess that's one thing that I'm grateful for is the chronology, because it's like it does kind of force you a little bit to not just be like, oh, magnetic pole flip 12,000 years ago, younger Dryas. It's like, okay, well, then there's this, there's cycles of, magnetic pole flips, then there's, cycles within cycles, excuse my hay fever. Um, and then, yeah. And then so, yeah, that's kind of it's like, yeah, I think it's easy to like to brush a broad stroke, you know. So it's easy to say like advanced civilization and just be like, oh, like, 70,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago or whatever, and just be like, oh, they were just so much more advanced before. But then within that, we're not talking about like one linear, thing. We're talking about cycles of evolution and devolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the questions then become like, what are those cycles?
Yeah.
Are they every major ones at every 12,000 years and smaller ones at 6,000 years? Or are they every 138 years, like what Archaic says?
Yeah.
And so that's what he thinks that the data leads to. So, both can be true as well. Or they could be, but it's like, look into it, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
Like that's where like randomly or not randomly, we get back to Whitney Webb's work and Jeffrey Epstein, and then we're getting into like more of where you're more familiar, which is then like the political level with Donald Trump and all that kind of thing, and that whole stuff that's going on with not releasing the files or however you want to label it or whatever. But then yeah, like Jeffrey Epstein was like a keen like what do you want to call it, like like fanatic or whatever about Atlantis.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and was like part of the story is like like an underwater 2-person submarine or whatever off the coast of Cuba. And he was also fascinated with like like kind of like transhumanism and genetics and stuff like that. So and then yeah, like there's kind of there's like that layer to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
dude.
so yeah, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just all so fucking crazy and cool. Like I'm wanting to just, I don't know, man. There's just not enough time, eh? Like fucking, there's always whatever, like so many documentaries I got to get to watch and books I got to read and fucking all that stuff. But just on like now getting on to the Jeffrey Epstein thing, just quickly, I just want to play a little piece of this podcast. It's an interview between Clint Russell, Dave Smith, and Ian Carroll, and they're talking like the broader topic is like the Charlie Kirk assassination, Israel's potential involvement. What is the evidence of that potential theory, and Nick Fuentes, his rise, and he's kind of like Dave at one point sort of says like Nick has like won the day, like his argument has won, like even though he might not be right about everything, but it's just undeniable that so much attention is on Israel now and the Jews and all that stuff, and yeah, he's like blown up in popularity. Like I think he's still banned on YouTube, but on Rumble he gets just like millions of views like every episode. But here, let me just put this on. I'll just play like 90 seconds of it or something. But I just thought it was interesting, an interesting sort of observation is not the right word, but like just Dave's sort of him just sort of speculating. Yeah, so have a listen to this and tell me what you think.
Hopefully I'm right about
No, I think you are right.
So.
I think you're right, but I don't think Mark Levin has a kill switch. I think Larry Ellison does. Like there are tiers
that's
to this
exactly
shit.
why he bought TikTok.
Well,
and I mean,
exactly.
well,
they're trying.
They're,
Yeah, but doesn't it look to you guys? Okay, look. Forget. Look, there's obviously a lot of shit that we don't know, and we all speculate about this. Like, look, the truth is, and I'll be honest about this, right? Even everything the three of us know, we don't completely understand how the fuck Israel has so much goddamn control over this country. Like, what is it? Is it just the blackmail? Because come on, motherfucker. And even
No,
the
it's
blackmail.
deeper than that.
Yes, I swear to God, I think it must be some type of spiritual force. Because, like, there's something about the fact that you have your leaders like go over and kiss their wall and
Wearing
like
the
tell
hat.
you, like tell you that the Tammy Bruce line, we're the greatest country ever. I mean, besides Israel. Like it's just these things that are.
I can't hear you, brother.
Oh,
Muted.
sorry, dude. Sorry. Oh, fucking hell. I'd fully, had a butter moment. But yeah, he's like, he's going on about, the most important thing, the thing that the reason why I wanted to show that video is where he's speculating. He's going like, what explains any of this? What is it like? And he's saying like, he thinks it's spiritual. And I just find that like, I'm like, yeah, like, cause I kind of do too. But I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on Dave's speculation there that it's spiritual?
Yes. And that's like one of the first tenets of, that kind of like everyone's kind of alluding to on some level of like how to get out of the situation that we're in as a collective, or I guess you could say in the world. And that's where kind of a lot of the advanced technology, whether you're looking at it from the AI level or from the quantum level, whether you're looking at it from the religious level, and again, or like the kind of the new kind of forms of like over unity devices that interact with the 0 point energy field. Like everyone's kind of from one angle or another getting into the spiritual and the you know and you can label it the occult, but it's like it's basically like it's kind of like essentially saying that what kind of we all know on some level anyway, like more than like just the human physical body, like the biofield and kind of the kind of different the kind of different like frequencies, I guess you would say, like if you're looking like whether from Tesla's language or from like a vibrational level of medicine level, where kind of like the kind of doors or windows of perception opens up so you can see more of what's already there. So like I think that like on some level, like however you want to define like on a spiritual level, like that's kind of like where very smart people talk about, like people like Catherine Austin Fitz, even if it's just from like a grounded kind of religious perspective. It's like and even she says if you want to use like different language like the divine, it's like that's kind of how I you know, kind of navigate it at the moment. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think like this is like it's just got to be normalized, I guess, is the point, you know,
Yeah.
like, like, like spiritual warfare, spiritual principles, then that's why I say now opening video. I think, I think for whatever reason, even though it's 2025, it still sounds kind of weird to talk about the spiritual nature of things.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, like, and you've said this to me in the past that,
I don't know, maybe
oh, sorry, dude. I think the connection's a little laggy, but I'll just finish what I was saying. Like, you you said this to me in the past that, um, oh damn it, I lost my train of thought. What were we saying?
just talking about the spiritual nature of things and how like maybe I think it's probably just my own thing, how it's a bit weird to say like the spiritual nature of things, like the nature, but like the truth is the nature of the problem is spiritual.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Sorry, and that's what
yeah,
that's what I was going to say before. Yeah, yeah. That like this stigma, that there is this stigma around people like openly discussing this and like taking it seriously. That you try to do that around some people, even people who you think like, or that love you and that you think are going to be open to this, will clown you and not take it seriously at all.
yeah. So yeah, I mean that. So Yeah, getting back to the Dave Smith, did you have a did you want to play some more of that, or did you like? I think there's some more to talk about with that.
Yeah. Well, why don't we continue? Why don't we continue watching a little bit more of it? But yeah, I just that point there. I remember when I heard it earlier today, I thought, oh, I want to fucking talk to Nick about this, because Dave's not really someone who's like ever talked about the occult or secret societies and the
Right,
influence.
and so
You
like
know?
I guess it's kind of like how like deep do you want to get into it, Like I guess the point like the kind of the thing is like you say things out of context and it does sound weird, and then when you do talk about it, then you've got to like spend like multiple hours, but you can kind of give a bit of a summary, I guess, but it's like um yeah, I mean there's more to it than just like, oh, like religion says there's like a devil, or like there's like good and evil, and like there's just like there's like a blanket statement or whatever. It's just kind of, I guess, there's a reason why there's like so many books over like the last centuries dedicated to like whole different parts of it. And so you've got good secret societies and bad secret societies
Yeah.
and positive secret societies and negative secret societies, and there's this like heaps there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and the like I don't know, the when people are viewing all this stuff through like a lens of duality, good versus evil, that very much is a sort of like Christian Western modern viewpoint, which isn't always necessarily correct or like the right way to view some of these things, as you're sort of pointing out that yeah, I don't know, like that's where like the natural law stuff is very important, is because virtually like Mark Passio's argument is that is what's being occulted, that is what these secret societies, that's the hidden knowledge that is kept secret, is natural law, which is like an understanding of human psychology and behavior and incentives and all that sort of stuff. And it can be used for good. It can be used in a way that isn't harming people, and it can be used in a way that does harm people. But yeah, but just like Dave, even sort of speculating that these control mechanisms he thinks has some spiritual aspect to it is like interesting to me. I think yeah, like he's getting to the truth there with that statement. And if you feel free to jump in there, brother, and then after that we can play a little more of that clip.
Yeah, like, and I don't want to be a dick and kind of strawman him or anything, but like at the same time, I do have to say something. I do get frustrated with the like, but then the answer is like, like, because like religion and God, like because of like religious God is like, that's why, because that.
I don't think he's
it's
saying
like,
that though.
yeah, you're probably not, and I'm probably like taking him out of context and all of that, but it is like. I do get frustrated when it's like they then make it like just specifically about like religion.
Yeah. I think there definitely is commentators out there that are guilty of that are saying like, and that's why you have to be a good Catholic who goes to church and all that stuff. But he's not one of those people. And like when he talks about him finding God, he's talking like that's the word he uses to describe the divine or whatever. He's not ever specifically saying like, after reading the Torah, I found Judaism, or after reading the Bible, I found Protestantism, or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's always just like, he's like, I just know deep in my soul that I have a connection to whatever it is out there, and I'm just going to refer to it as God. Yeah, but let's play a little bit more.
Are like so bizarre, and we don't even completely understand exactly why everybody falls in line in the way that they do. Yeah, like this,
Like
right?
Josh
Like
Patel is
what?
the perfect example, right? Of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what happened, bro? Like, I
Well,
can't even imagine blackmail
and
doing
Dan
that.
Bongino with his, I mean, he went from being like pounding the he was basically like a Nick Fuentes character, and now he's
Yeah.
like docile as a dove, dude. He's so fucking scared out of his mind. It's unbelievable.
Well, okay. So look, but at the same time, it's not exactly like, look, I know, and I said this on Rogan last time I was on, but I really feel confident saying this, that when people say Israel controls the US government, I go, that's not exactly right either. Because I will tell you from everything I've read and everything I know, if there is one thing I'm sure of, if Netanyahu had full control of the US government, we would have had regime change in Iran already. I guarantee that.
100%.
I guarantee you the 12-day war ends in a regime change war in Iran
Yeah, I think
if
that's fair.
Netanyahu gets to call all the shots. Like and it doesn't matter if it took us 20 years and 500,000 troops to do it. He would gladly
You make more money
sacrifice-
that way. Way
Yes.
more money.
He would gladly sacrifice American lives and treasure to get them overthrown. Okay. So like there's a level to which the US government can stand up to him. Now,
Barely.
why they can only do to that level and not do a little bit more, like,
Well,
why?
Charlie Kirk was a big part of that standing up, right?
Well, that's okay. So this is where it starts to get interesting, is when we actually start to figure out like where is that level and what actually can we move. And I will say this, that I think the way that whole conversation has been moved, this wasn't part of their plan. And they're threatening and they're squirming and they're doing all this shit, but it's like, nah, dude, I don't actually know that they can control this. And a lot of these guys, we were saying earlier, how Josh Hammer might be a guy, but he doesn't even know the bigger picture. You know, he's just playing a little role. I think a lot of these guys like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, they're also that also. And but they think they're a big, important guy. So they're going, I'm gonna, but no one's listening anymore.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to. I know we're getting late in the hours here, but I just wanted to say, I'm getting some flack from usually the libertarians that fucking suck at life, so I'm not really worried about it. But they're being critical of me because I am essentially defending Nick Fuentes, and I am I'm proudly and actively defending Nick Fuentes, and I'm going to continue to do so. I just wanted to make this point because I think it's an important one to make. Nick Fuentes, setting him aside, his audience matters tremendously. A bunch of young, intelligent, activated, politically intelligent, and wanting to make a difference in this world, young men that haven't given up. There's so many fucking young men in this country that have completely given
Honestly,
up.
a lot of young women too is
true.
are watching him too.
Of course, yes. Sorry, I don't want to leave all the
Only
women
add
out,
to your point.
But yeah, exactly. It's even more important than that. If you don't see, and I know this sounds opportunistic, but if you don't see the opportunity when, Dave and I have been in this for fucking ever. I've been a Ron Paulian since I was in high school. And it's just been I've been in the wilderness and I suddenly see an environment with young, intelligent, activated young people that are recognizing that they have been abused terribly by their government. And a lot of libertarians, instead of seeing that as an incredible opportunity for us to actually make positive, advancement, they go, let's immediately distinguish ourselves from Nick Fuentes and say what a piece of shit this guy is. It's like, oh, you guys are just dedicated to losing into oblivion. Fuck you forever.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that.
Well, it's also, and look,
I might just pause it and maybe we can ditch it because they're getting into the weeds of fucking political strategy and whatever, all that stuff. But just I don't know, have you probably haven't, but have you seen any of Nick Fuentes' stuff? Have you seen any of his clips? Do you sort of know what this guy's about and all that stuff?
I know the basics.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, what did you want to? What did you? What you lead? What comes up for you? What's the takeaways? What's the points worth getting into here?
Well, I've watched this whole thing up to where we're up to here, which is 2 hours and 4 minutes. It's a 2 hour and 44-minute long podcast. So I've seen the vast majority of it. What they're just talking about and sort of like trying to figure out is like, does the Charlie Kirk assassination have anything to do with not even just specifically Israel, but just like intelligence agencies? Was that an intelligence operation versus like the official narrative being like a lone wolf killed him? And so there's that, and then there's also the Nick Fuentes discussion where they're talking about like trying to like understand his rise to fame, how, like, why is he so popular, what is like why are so many people attacking him, why are they trying, like they've been trying to cancel this guy since he was a kid, since he was like fucking 18 years old. He'd been banned off everything, banned from PayPal, banned from a bunch of different like debanked, fucking on a no-fly list for a year. I think even Nick said that's less related to his criticism of like Israel and the Jews and more related to the January 6th stuff. But regardless, he's been someone who's like been deplatformed. Fucking, they've tried to take him out, and even up against all that, he's only gotten bigger. Like he's now he's like got millions of followers, millions of people tune in and watch his show all the time. And he's gone on the biggest platforms. He's gone on Tucker Carlson. He's been on Candace Owens and Dave's show and a bunch of others. Too many to name. But yeah. So they're trying. So that's what's going on. And like what Clint and Ian Carroll are arguing is like that the reason is because yes, like he's bombastic and he's brash, but he's making good points. Like he's obviously like someone who's well read, knows his stuff in terms of the things he's talking about, like politics and recent history. And he's right about a lot of things. And sort of the push, like, so Dave's giving a bit of pushback, being like, yeah, I agree with that, and I agree that he's right about a lot of things, but there's some things that he's wrong about, and these are the things that he got called out about when he went on. Well, not called out, but like challenged when he went on Tucker Carlson's show and on Dave's show, because like Dave critiqued Nick, because like so Nick's argument is like, it's not just the specific individuals that's responsible for all this support for Israel. It's not just the neoconservatives. It's not just the people that are in powerful positions. He's saying like it's because of their ethnic, like just Jews in general, and their ethnic identity, and that's what precedes their support for Israel. The reason why so many Jews support Israel is because it's a Jewish state, they're Jews, and so that's why. But like and I think Dave's right about this, where he's saying like, but when you do that, you're also blaming, like, so first of all, you're collectivizing a group of people, and you're blaming every single person who is in that group for these crimes. But like, Barry the dentist down the road, who doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff and has got no idea, is just living his life, who also happens to be a Jew, like he's now included in what you're saying, like that, like he's now guilt by whatever, like by just like ethnicity. And then Dave's other point, which is I think he's 100% right about, is like, yes, there's a disproportionate amount of Jews that are in favor of this fucked up shit that's going on, but there's also a disproportionate amount of Jews who are against it. Like you've got your Orthodox, like super Orthodox religious Jews who are protesting in New York with, the Free Palestine movement. You've also got like, even just like, whatever, like fucking libertarianism, was started by a Jew. Like Murray Rothbard is a Jew. Ludwig von Mises was a Jew, and they're some of the people that are like most critical of like they have the best arguments against like just statism in general. The Jewish state would fall into that as well. Murray wrote a lot about Israel like in the 70s and 80s, and how immoral all that is, like, and you know, by sheer fact that's just like, well, we're against states, and so we obviously have to be against this state too, because it's predicated on you know, just violence and fucking and theft. But yeah, so yeah, there's all these Jews that are against it. So how do you explain that, you know? And so that's basically what's going on, and that's what like the discussion that they're having. But then like where Clint's sort of saying like, well, with Nick's like say like Nick's rise to fame and the audience that he has, like they're not, you know, whatever, like they're young, they're intelligent, and they're not going anywhere, and so we should, like, you know, tap into that and try and fucking whatever. I think he's basically saying like get political power and try and reverse some of this stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, my knee jerk is to be against that.
Yeah, I think that's where kind of like someone like Passio draws the line, like on the, it's kind of like the solution that people tend to go towards is like, let's get political power and do something about this.
Yeah.
But then, and then the point that they never really get to is like achieving true freedom, and then that's not done through. It's like,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of why we kind of still find ourselves in this predicament where
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's kind of like a cycle that keeps
It,
repeating
dude,
over and over
exactly.
again. But
It makes so much sense to me, but like, you know, like, I don't know, like fucking, there's a lot of people who criticize like anarchists, because they'll be like, yeah, like you preach about like this, like, you know, this like pure moral philosophy, but like in reality, like nothing ever gets done, and the only way to get stuff done is to take power. But like, I just know, like deep in my soul, deep in my heart, that I'm just like, two wrongs don't make a right. Like you're never going to achieve the things you want to achieve by getting the reins of like this monopoly on the legal initiation of violence to fucking to roll it all back. Like I don't know, man. Like fucking, I don't know what the answer is, but like that's what. Yeah, I don't know. Just that's what makes sense to me. Is like I would, even though like people would think that I'm just like being a fuck it, like I'm purity spiraling, and you know, I'm not like just like being in the real world or whatever. But I don't know, like someone's got to fucking, and all these that's the thing that pisses me off too, dude, is like we were talking about this a little bit off air, but like they're all like, so many of these people are like self-identified Christians, but like they're like advocating for the fucking very thing that Jesus Christ, if he was a real person, was totally against, and he was railing against it. He was like, this is all bullshit. You can't fucking rule over other people like this and use violence to do it. But then like Nick Fuentes is like, he's like a Christian and he's a Catholic, but then like he's like advocating for like this power and control, you know? I think that it's inconsistent at best, and at worst it's like you're fucking like just as bad. If you're going to advocate for that stuff, you're just as bad as the people that you're supposedly against.
Yep.
And sorry to like, I don't mean to put it in like in a Christian, like, you know, dialectic or whatever, but like I'm just saying, like, even if we're gonna like use their own standard, it's like, by your own standard, you're fucking this is completely immoral and goes against everything that, you know, you supposedly believe in.
Yeah, and I guess like we're probably going off on another tangent here again, but like that's also why I like Whitney Webb's research into Israel, because I feel like part of the chilling of that anger is because, you know, people are aware of things like the technology connections and kind of, you know, different ownership structures of companies and different things like that, and we know about the public-private partnerships and the intelligence agencies linked with things like pre-crime and, you know, technocratic stuff and transhumanist stuff. And then you've got people like Catherine Austin Fitz saying that Gaza is the method, which we've talked about, here before as well. So then it's like you've got this kind of like extreme technology, overt control being battle ready from Gaza, which is done in some ways through like public-private partnerships with the US and Israel. And then also in Australia, you've got like the whatever it is, like the second largest amount of Jewish people outside of something in Australia. Um, but yeah, um, it's like the like like the at the same time as like the stuff that's been going on, like we still haven't like been getting any deeper on like the Epstein part, which has got that link with Israel, but then it's got like the 100 years in the lead up to it, and all that history is really important. Um, yeah, and then yeah, so I think it's like people get stuck in this like it's all the Jews, and then people get stuck in like like pushing back because they feel like nothing's getting done about it. And then people, they're asking the question like what really is going on, like with the spiritual part of it. But then you also get kind of like you know it's like no one's really, I don't think, like no one's really like really got into the depths of like like Whitney Webb's work on all of that. So yeah, it's like there's I guess kind of like I'm saying that, but yeah, it's just I don't really know where I was going with that.
No,
actually,
it
but
was
yeah,
good,
it's just
dude.
like
I
yeah,
think you were hitting on something there. And what I really love about Whitney Webb's work is that I love that she very much treats everybody as individuals, and she's calling out specific individuals for their crimes and their involvement in organized crime, in black market fucking dealings, with weapons around the world, getting weapons to the Zionist militias, and but not just saying like, oh, Jews in America supplied weapons to Jews in Palestine to fucking kick the British out and fucking kick all the Palestinians out and create their state. She's saying no. She's saying Meyer Linsky, the fucking head of the Jewish mafia or one of the Jewish mafias in America, took money, like provided weapons to the Zionist militias, Irgun, Stern Gang, and the Haganah to commit these atrocities. Like I love that her precision with her research and the fact that she's like, like naming all these individuals who are involved and responsible, and and then later in her second volume, like the more modern stuff, like talking about Peter Thiel and the origins of that of Palantir and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like there's specific actors, specific people who are acting and doing bad things, and they should be called out. But it's just retarded to me that anyone would try and like group like just blame a whole group of people. And it's not to say like, because this is like, I've had these arguments with like people I love, like I won't name him by name, but someone who's very close to me, who's like telling me that it's all the Jews, and I'm just going, yeah, but dude, like fucking like what about like it's just not right, dude. It's just not right. Like if you want to be accurate, you've got to actually fucking like treat people as individuals. And but like the thing is like, yes, people do make up groups. That's undeniable. Like you can group people together, and individuals do form groups. But the point is that like first and foremost, they're individuals. Like and I really like what Tucker Carlson says, where when he was arguing with Nick about this, when he had him on his show, he was saying like, like no one gives birth to a community. It's you give birth to an individual child or a pair of twins or something like that. But like, yeah, like it's just so stupid. And also like it's against their whole fucking religion anyway, to like, they're not collectivists. That's not how any of this works. So, but I think like it's well, who said it? I think like Dave said something like this. It's like this sort of thinking is like catnip. Like it's so many people are drawn to, like, want to, like, be identitarian and fucking just blame a whole group of people. But it's like, dude, like, you're now like just becoming everything that you're against. Like, you're against the Israelis or Jews for being identitarian and grouping up and being organized. But like, what you're advocating for is like we should all group up and be organized and fucking, I don't know. It's like it's just stupid to me. Doesn't make any sense.
Hmm. All right, dude. So I need your it's kind of like segue, not really segueing. I need to talk to you about this because this is what is in the field, whether rightly or wrongly. This is what has shown up for me this week, Arabian pleb. So, what is your reaction to this? Actually, Arabian pleb, because of Trump, little do you know that because you really just don't know, mate, as much as you think that you do. There's actually more nuance to this, and if Trump hadn't have implemented things like Operation Warp Speed, then things would have been far worse. Everyone would have been locked up. So you just don't really know about you and your objective reality and objective truths over there because you think that you know. What you really don't know is the nuance of just how high level Trump and the white hats are, bro.
Wait, so what's the argument? If Trump didn't implement Operation Warp Speed, which was what, the mass vaccination, like exempting liability from companies to produce this vaccine and get it, into as many arms as possible all around the world. If he didn't do that, then we'd all be locked up. What is it? I wonder what that.
You could probably accuse me of straw manning,
Yeah.
but that's basically it.
But I wonder what
would
that
be-
person is like meaning, like, by we'd all be locked up.
Yeah, so without getting too deeply into it, I just bring it up, but like there is like a whole point of like all the other things that were also happening at the same time. So basically, like whether you agree with all of that other stuff or not, it's still like the basic kind of underlying principle is like, but little do you realize that like it would have been much worse, and this was like blah 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 blah, and there's like a whole narrative around that. So I know that I'm strawmanning, but it's like that's what it comes down to for me. But yeah, it's just kind of like you can get away with anything if you like. Oh, but it'd be worse. If I
Yeah,
didn't
that's right.
do that.
Well,
Yeah.
this is like, like making an argument that it's impossible to like run the counterfactual. You know what I mean? Like, no one can go back in time and prove whether that actually would have played out or not. So that's, it's all just, yeah, okay. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess if we didn't invade Iraq, Saddam Hussein might have overtaken the world or something. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, or maybe if the Israelis didn't flatten Gaza, then, maybe it could have been worse in Gaza. Maybe like fucking some virus might have spread, but for the bombing, and even more people might have died. Cosmic Surfer, how about that?
Yeah, and I guess I open myself up to this, but like, yeah, the kind of the kind of the argument is right, and it's not that these things aren't true, but the kind of the argument is that there's all of these other, what loose people would refer to as like timelines. So, like for example, they've got all of these different, you know, process, like ways, like whatever those, like the processing of people, like through like the like to what could be like perceived as like locking people up. And so like the infrastructure was like being built in Australia and different countries and things like that. And so like using these kind of like and like things like like a certain amount of hydroxychloroquine shots, and then like all these dark evil forces and so like you just don't know that like you know like what he really wanted was like it's just like it's unbelievable like the level of retardation, but at the same time it's like but it's like people but it's also like and I know that just like I'm probably like straw money in different parts of it, but it is really like that bad. It's like part of it is like how we still in this like Trump and kind of like Q kind of like white hat. Like I literally thought it was like it's kind of yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like yeah, it's uh,
I just don't think
yeah.
Trump's playing 4D chess. I just don't think that that's the case. And I don't know. It's like if that is the case, then fuck, he's pretty bad at it because it's not going very well. And even if Operation Warp Speed was like the preferable outcome, like that's what he's like, oh, I'm going to implement this so that something worse doesn't happen. It's like Operation Warp Speed was pretty fucking bad, dude. Like that was a lot of
Yeah,
people
it's
got
just
injured from that shit, and a lot of like
yeah.
the worst of the worst people profited hugely from it and are more empowered than ever.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Like that's kind of why I brought it up to you. It's like I don't know, man. It's like it's just kind of it's like
It is crazy how many people really do think the whole fucking 5D, 4D chess thing and white hats and all that stuff. Like, there's people who you and I know who are like really think that that's actually what's going on.
but yeah, I mean, it's like just for like the shit talking kind of like part of the segment, right? It's like like that's why like the truth and freedom movement and like even when you say to like even when you say to people like oh you're looking into something or you're looking into like what we're talking about with like timelines and like whatever, it's like there's like there is so much like a solipsism like oh you can never really know. And then it's like oh who do you think you are, you think you think you have the answers and all this kind of thing.
Mm.
But then it's like and then it's like you do start getting into like you know if we are talking about like ancient master psychologists is how like Passio would frame it. It's like how much of a disadvantage are you at if you don't even know it's like a thing or whatever.
Yeah, hugely. A huge disadvantage. Like, and to the point where it's like the ancient master psychologists are winning so hard that they've got you completely fooled that fucking they don't even exist. Yeah, it's like it's a total uphill battle mindfuck. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and like I think this is where like it feels like you're making like connections where there's not, but like this is kind of what I like doing. Like for example, if you like get into some of these like world's best scientists, right? Like people like Hal Puthoff and Zero Point Energy, he's he's worked at all of the major, DOD, DOE kind of things, and all of the skunk works and all of the private stuff and all of that kind of thing. And then yet like people like this, they're into like they're like at Scientology, and then there's like these connections with Scientology, and this is again people like Whitney Webb did stuff on Scientology, but it's like the connections with NASA, and it's like and then it kind of you start getting back into this kind of like the spiritual force stuff again, because like these kind of topics come up when you start getting into like these very leading scientists with Zero Point Energy and nuclear. Like it's no secret now that all of the UFOs, whatever you want to think about all of that, there's like all of this synchronicity or connection or whatever with or time overlap with UFOs and like nuclear weapons and nuclear like different things like that. And then and then you've got like this kind of Zero Point Energy which has been hidden for 100 years, and then you've got you know it's like how like on some base level, and I know that we've talked about that like that a bit here, but how retarded do you have to be as a species to have Zero Point Energy for 100 years, and then to just go on living without it and then just be like, huh, yeah, never really thought about that. No big deal. And then it's like, it's not like, I think most people think that like when you look into it, it's like explained away. But that's vehemently incorrect. The actual like objective reality is that 0 point energy is a thing. Tesla knew about it. Lots of people have known about it, and then you can also, and then there's also, the connection with aneutronic fusion, which is, you know,
Oh, sorry, dude.
the it's like it's like a clean nuclear bomb, but it's like not a bomb because it's like there's no discharge. And then so what you're able to do is you're able to hide all of the research and all of the technology and all of the actual building of it with those private contractors, and they're able to build it out. And then they're also able to say that you can't have it because um, this
You can't be
unlimited
trusted. You can't be trusted,
yes,
little pleb.
yeah, yeah, this unlimited energy source uh, is nuclear in nature, which is technically correct, depending on how you define things. And so, therefore, slowed through whatever companies that they want to do that with, or keep it for themselves, or whatever. And then you've also got the powering of AI, which is a huge energy suck. And so, you've got all of these, kind of people seemingly like not really caring about coming up with real solutions. And is the answer because they know about 0 point energy? And so, yeah, I think that like I think that when there's like a core truth, you can see it from, well, this is like a town, you can see it from several different vantage points. So whether you want to go like in the hard science direction and go with nuclear fusion, aneutronic fusion, and 0 point energy, and the quantum and all of that, or whether you want to go at it from the geopolitical with the kind of the the nuclear weapons in Iran and different nuclear programs and the weaponry, and how that ties in with like instantaneous weaponry when you can use technology like stealth. And yes, there are things to see the stealth, but also you know what does it really mean if all of these different forces or private kind of groups have got instantaneous weaponry? And then then that draws into yeah, and then so yeah, so and then yeah, I guess I said it before, but then you have the people that really know like the deep science and mechanics of it, and then you're going to try and tell me that's a coincidence that they all happen to also be into the occult and things like that as well. It's like, for whatever reason, these subjects all go hand in hand, as does the UFO stuff. And yeah, so I've got a lot to say there, and I wanted to get this out to kind of really get into it, because I think that's where I really wanted to get to tonight, was like, and I know that we've touched on it before, but I think that there's a real opportunity for natural law, to become accessible. And I know that it can happen in any way, but what I'm postulating, or whatever putting forward, is basically that there is over unity 0 point energy, and rather than being told like this has got to be developed in like these nuclear, whatever they're going to call them, like modular nuclear reactors, or powering AI, or kind of whatever it is, like I think that the opportunity to counter the argument of you can't have it because it's dangerous, so they're going to keep it and use it against us, I think that the counter to that is that natural law has an opportunity to say, no, like we have the radical responsibility to have and use this, and you're not, and no one's got the authority to say to us, like, you can't have it because of national security, because of, you know, you don't even know because of the demons or the dark side or the whatever you want to label it of, or you don't even know because of the weaponry and the dangers, and oh, you think Joe Blow can just go blow up the world like in his backyard. Like that level of argument has got to be countered with natural law, and I think that that's what the opportunity is, and I think that that's why things like things like these subjects break that open.
Most certainly. Well, and even just on its face, like the argument that that we can't if the government or these shady characters that are connected to the government, these public private partnerships, these private companies, they can't allow the average person or just everybody to have it because something bad will happen. But these motherfuckers are the most fucking corrupt, slimy, guilty, murderous psychopaths in our society. So that straight away to me is just like, well, that's just fucking bullshit. That makes no sense because, yeah, like all these people that have like whatever, like all these fucking that are heads of these weapons companies, these intelligence agencies have done horrendous, horrific things to other people. So how about no? And yeah, I think you're onto something there, man, with the like the principles of natural law. We already know that all that's bullshit. Anyone who's trying to argue that fucking other people don't have a right to know this stuff or to use it if they wish to is fucking wrong. Like they're wrong on
Right. But I can, but rationally speaking, Arabian pleb, you can't just walk into a shop and buy a nuclear bomb. So there do need to be some controls about we're going to have some people in control to be able to make sure that this is released in a way in which only the certain types of technology and certain ways are implemented, and we're going to take care of that because you know otherwise you're just going to be able to walk into a shop and buy a nuclear bomb. Like you're not that level of low IQ, are you, Arabian pleb?
Well, maybe I am, but like my counter to that would just be like, who gets to decide?
Yeah, like I know you're right,
Yeah, no,
but
no. I know you're playing devil's advocate. And
yeah,
as an
I'm just
advocate
making
of the devil, I would just say to the devil or to the advocate of the devil that like, yeah, but like who gets to decide? It's like the same way, like whatever, like I don't know, fucking people make these same arguments for like, banning people, canceling people, stopping people from speaking on platforms or whatever, or owning guns, like even just on a, like on a less extreme example, like to nuclear weapons, which I think is a good thing to tackle because like that's where they're taking like all that to like what like the logical conclusion. But yeah, it's just like yeah, but like says who? Like if the fact is that like or well if it is true that nuclear weapons exist, like who got to decide whether the people that possess them currently get to possess them currently? Like no one. They just decided like, oh well, we're the fucking people who've got the most guns, and so we're doing this, and who's going to stop us? But like that doesn't necessarily mean that like they're the most moral or they're the most fucking mature or the most responsible like at all. It's just like no, they just fucking are the toughest gang in the whatever given area, and so that's what they're doing. What are you going to do to stop them?
Right, and I guess the thing that I see, and like, there's no, I guess you can just, FYI, you can call this anecdotal, or you can just call this like high octane speculation or whatever. But it's like, yeah, I mean, because there's so many different use cases from it, it's not just over Unity in terms of like electrical power. it is also super advanced weaponry, and you can also just use whatever language you want to morph it in. You can just say like hypersonic missile, and I'm not saying that's not what it is or anything like that, but you can there's ways that they can implement the technology and fluff it in without you really even knowing, like different energy sources and things like that. And they have done that previously, like with different like stealth technology and sheathing, like a plasma sheath as well at the front. Um, and so like you do have that part, but then unfortunately, what I see, and this is kind of where you know don't call me like black pilled or whatever, but basically like what you have is like the implementation of the technical digital control grid, using that technology. And it's like then it's like that same whatever it is wants to then turn around and say, yeah, but you can't have it because you're going to like blow up the world or something.
Yeah, which is
And then
true.
it's like,
I don't know, dude. It's like the way I like the way I hear it when those arguments are like, seriously thrown at me, not just not just mucking around like we are now. But if I was to ever hear someone like I have heard Ashton Forbes, I mean, he wasn't saying that, but he was saying that's what other people are saying to justify the secrecy. It's just like I don't know, man. Like you could like take like fucking like a hammer. You could fucking kill someone with a hammer. But most people don't do that. Like most people, when they get a hammer, even though they could kill someone with it, they're like doing
right.
positive things
Yeah,
with
and
it.
I know that's why I want to keep talking about it, because there's so many arguments. Because it's basically like, oh well, even by your own thing, until we all become moral, like like basically anyone that does able to whatever they can literally blow off the world. So therefore, we can't have it. It's like, and there are people that unfortunately are in the masses, which are actually like, you know, oh well, everything would go chaos and mad, and it does have to be regulated and like all of these kind of
But
things.
even by that
And so,
same logic, dude,
you
like
know,
like sorry to cut you off, but even by that same logic, it's like, well, supposedly right now we have, fucking 10, what is it, like something megaton hydrogen bombs, and thousands of them. Like the Americans have thousands of them, and fucking Russia has thousands of these like massive hydrogen bombs that are something fucking to the 10x megaton, however they do the math. But like from what Scott Horton says, that the math is supposedly from these weapons that are supposedly in existence. Um, if like 50 of them were detonated, that'd be enough to fucking to blow up the Earth. Or make it uninhabitable for human beings. So it's like, yeah, well, there's people already right now that possess weapons of mass destruction that could fucking blow up the world, but no one's been like, therefore the government, or not no one, like we are, but like the people who would make that same argument still, I presume, I bet my bottom dollar this would be the case, think that government is legitimate and fucking, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, or whatever, or like that, like they don't have a problem. They're not like protesting the fact that the government has American government or the Russian government has weapons that could blow up the whole Earth. They're like, I don't know. Was that
yeah, well,
clear?
that's clear. And but and I'm just kind of going through all the kind of layers of Drudge,
Yeah.
because like you are correct, but the layers of Drudge are like, yeah, but you know, in reality, people are acting in egotistical self, like ways to benefit themselves, call it whatever you want to call it, Satanism or self-interest or whatever it is. And so, you know, and mix it with the social Darwinism, like, everyone's kind of out for themselves. But there's this kind of like this apathetic or resignation or kind of lack of imagination, where it's like, yeah, but in reality, this is how things are. So don't be naive, because this is what's going to happen. It's kind of like that same argument that people make with AI, which is why they just basically get like psychopaths like Elon Musk, which are saying like it's happening whether you want it or not, and so the best you can hope for is to like pray it doesn't kill you or whatever. Like again, I'm probably taking him out of
Yeah.
context, but
No, yeah, that's more or
yeah.
less like what he's saying. Yeah, well then that's the same. Then you have to have that same argument with fucking this whatever this technology is, that like it exists and whatever's going to happen regardless, and that's that basically. Like, well, and this is the thing too, dude. It's like even if people try and ban shit, like it's always going to be there, you just might push it more underground or something like that, or at least try their best to like concentrate it in only a handful of people's hands. But I don't know, like fucking there's always leaks. There's always like right now, like fucking all these people like even talking about this stuff. The fact that we're having this conversation says to me that like the information's out there. There are people capable of building these things, and how are you going to ever prevent like one slipping through the cracks or a handful of them and more? Like yeah, and even if you try,
they've done 100. They've done 100 years of it, and I guess things are accelerating now, and that's why all the science is coming out about plasma and kind of different quantum technology. Like there's reasons why that's all being dripped, but I mean you could also by the same token argue at the other side, which is they have managed to keep it under control for 100 years by any number of ways, and now they are in control of how it's going to roll out. And so yeah.
No, that's fair. Like that's a fair counter. Yes. Well,
But yeah, like I guess like I think we covered it, but I think like it also, and we can wrap up soon if you want to wrap up, but like it it also gets into like there's this kind of like there's this kind of underlying thing that's kind of like gnawing, I think, a little bit with all this stuff, which is like this part where it's like, even with 0 point energy and this kind of like advanced technology, it's like, yeah, but you don't even know, because if you did know, you'd know how wild this is, or like it gets into like all of the angels and demons or the spiritual side or the occult side, however you want to frame it. But it seems to like, when it comes to this stuff, it like opens up all of that. And then kind of nothing happens, because there's this kind of like, oh, if you knew, you'd think the same as what I do. And so it's like such gaslighting and kind of like hijacking and psyoping and all of that. But it's like, yeah, it's like, I know that's like, I don't know, does that sound like a wild thing to say, or is that like just like kind of like normal these days?
yeah. Well, I don't know. Like the only people I've ever heard talk about the technology stuff at length is like someone like Ashton, and I think that's sort of what he's saying is like fucking he knows enough to know that this would end badly if enough people got it. Yeah, I don't know. I just inherently just think that that's like fucking bullshit, and not even saying it's like complete bullshit, but I just think that like I just don't think you have a right to like make that decision for other people. Just you just got to let it fucking happen, and if people have a right, there's as Passio would say, there's rights and there's wrongs, and I think that's wrong, and I think it's right that like no one should be ruled over, and if that's the case, then no one's going to tell me if fucking I'm allowed to have something that could potentially blow up the world or not.
And this is where we get to the point from like way earlier in the podcast where I get to make the next MS argument, which is America first. America first, son. America first. Remy pleb, you don't even know, son. Australia first.
Australia first. Let's go, dude. I do love Australia. I love Australia, mate. If you check my logo,
if you were truly Australian first, you would know that we don't want those others to have it and to blow us up. Is that what do you want to kill all Australians, Harry? Arabian Flab. Do you want to kill all? Do you want to kill all Australians? Because I'm Australian first.
It depends. It depends what day I'm having as to whether I want to kill everyone or not. Yeah.
But and I know that like again I'm probably straw manning stuff, but like this is why you've got to go all the way, and that is why like that there's that phrase that Passio repeats all the time is like the two mistakes you can make are not starting and not going all of the way, because it's like, yeah, okay, like America first or whatever you want to say, but you know, America first doesn't mean Palantir. Or like, and I'm not saying that's what he or anyone else is saying or whatever, but it's like, yeah, I mean, there is the argument to push back against like these kind of transnational companies as well and public-private interests and all of that. But then, and that's kind of where I think that these technocrats get a little slimy, because I think they recruit some of these independently minded people and libertarians or whatever because they might be against the state, but then they get into like transnational transhumanism, technocracy, like kind of, yeah, international company kind of level.
Oh, it's almost like they're just like fucking sticking their finger up in the wind and seeing which way it's blowing and being like, oh, there's a lot of people online that seem to really like freedom and not like tyranny. So, hi, my name's Peter Thiel and I'm a libertarian. What up, fellow libertarians? It's like that meme. What's the meme where fucking it's that dude out of all the Adam Sandler movies. He's carrying a skateboard and like got a backwards hat on. And he's like a 50-year-old man. He's like trying to fit in with the cool kids. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking who knows, man, with all that. It's just, yeah, it's fucking not what I'm all about.
Well, I mean, like, and this is like well known now, but that's where we're getting into like the GovCorp TechNet, and that's where you're getting into like Greenland and all of that kind of stuff. But that's where you're getting into like this technocratic ruled kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is basically, it's basically beyond nation states.
Yeah.
And that does play on the people that are like, oh no, I don't like the state and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, well, yeah, just I don't know, like the only reason why like I sympathize with nationalists is because there does seem to be a lot of, especially in the American context, maybe not so much in the although definitely in the Australian context when it comes to like just being part of the Commonwealth or whatever, where there is like this you don't have as much like from when you're like looking at the nation, there's not like national sovereignty from like these bigger entities or empires that rule over us. But then like I think sort of the point that Passio's making is like when these people who are nationalists not going far enough is like they're all about like sovereignty for the nation, which is effectively saying like sovereignty for the national government. But it's like, what about sovereignty for me? What about sovereignty for every person? Yeah. Well, yeah, bro. Well,
did you want to leave it there?
Yeah,
or?
is that? Yeah, well, let's leave it there, man. I am getting a little. I'm pretty fucking exhausted. I'll tell you what I am doing. I am playing tennis tomorrow morning with our mutual friend, the old dog. I'm gonna catch up with him. We're going to hit a basket of balls. We're working on the serve. We're working on the backhands, mate. We're working on the forehand volleys, the backhand volleys, the overhead smashes. We're trying to get that, that cosmic surfer swagger about us on the court there, So that's what we're doing tomorrow morning.
Hit to his backhand.
That's the motto at the local club. That's right, because so many people's backhands is typically shit. I love that. That is so good, dude. Hit it to his backhand. That's how deep the strategy goes at our little club, bro.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace out, Cosmic Surfer. Peace out, everybody. Oh, and please, before I go, must say, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, tell us what you think. We really appreciate all that stuff. Awesome. All right. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
And here's what it is. This is actually what the true great work is now. It is the arduous task of influencing other people to go through the very same process of change, of positive change in consciousness that you have gone through. It is to help them to realize that in supporting and condoning the legitimacy of authority and government, in other words, man's law, that what they have actually been supporting and condoning is the legitimacy of slavery. Truth is objective. That means that it's not dependent upon the perceptions of human beings. No one wants to hear that. That is a direct assault, a direct frontal assault on the human ego. What truth is that which does not waver. It's there. It's always been there. It's always going to be there. Nothing anybody does can change what has happened. I'm talking about the events that have taken place in the past and are taking place in the present. That's all. And guess what? That's all the truth is. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that.